Right now, Iran is hitting Israel hard with its ORESHNIK missiles. Here's how it's happening. And here's an important clarification. Iran is attacking not just with ballistic missiles, but with ballistic missiles equipped with multiple independently targetable re-entry vehicles, MARVs. This is the ORESHNIK type. Well, as they say, it's the Putin school. And there's something else I want to say. Let's move to the capital of Qatar. This is Doha, another hellish attack. Take a look. Oh God.
Oh my God, I see it now. Oh my God, it is getting so incredibly close. Oh my God. Oh, look at that. That's a Patriot right there. Oh wow, I can't believe how close it is. Wow, that's terrifying. Welcome to the Pristzel Project. I'm Vladimir Timoshenko. Yeah, the Middle East is still on fire. World War III, unfortunately, is gaining momentum, and at this time, Donald Trump decided to pray in the Oval Office. This is not sarcasm, not a joke. Pastors from different states held a prayer in the White House. Here's how it happened.
I pray for your blessing and protection over our soldiers and all our men and women who have served in our military. And God, we just cry out that you continue to give our president the strength he needs. Yes, these pastors asked God to give the president of the United States the strength and wisdom to lead the country. Does they say that wouldn't be a bad thing? By the way, the Kremlin has woken up too. Putin's talking mustache, Peskov, has already openly stated that they will profit from the war in the Middle East. What a nightmare.
Listen, the war that's going on is not our war. And from the very beginning, we have declared our position that any war can lead to the destabilization of the region. That's exactly what we're seeing. We see a constantly growing number of countries getting involved in this war. We must do what aligns with our interests. Right now, we need to minimize the impact on our economy from those global shocks that, as we can already see, are beginning. We probably need to secure benefits for ourselves wherever possible, no matter how cynical that may sound.
And friends, there's a fresh scandal in Hungary. This is truly astonishing. 7 employees of Ukraine's Oreshnik bank have been detained, along with 2 armored vehicles that were transporting money and gold. Let me quote. The head of Ukraine's Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Andriy Sybiha. Essentially, what we're talking about is that Hungary has taken hostages and stolen money. If this is the power that Mr. Orban spoke about today, then it is the power of a criminal gang. This is state terrorism and racketeering. In fact, we will be following this story closely. And by the way, there's more. Orban continues to act outrageously. He is threatening to use force to make Ukraine resume oil transit through the pipeline. Druzhba! Zelensky responded well to this. He expressed hope that the EU loan of 90 billion would stop being blocked by a single person, clearly hinting at Orban. Otherwise, he threatened to give Orban's address to the armed forces of Ukraine. Here are the details.
Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán threatened to use force to resume the operation of the Druzhba oil pipeline in Ukraine. Orbán made this statement on Facebook on March 5th.
There will be no agreements, no compromises. We will break the Ukrainian oil blockade by force. Hungary's oil will soon flow again through the Druzhba pipeline.
In turn, the president of Ukraine responded during a briefing to Hungary's previous attempts to inspect the condition of the Druzhba oil pipeline. President Zelensky compared Budapest's demands to a situation where the Ukrainian authorities would demand to be allowed to inspect European weapons depots.
I meet with the leader of one of the countries and ask, can you give us missiles for the Patriot system? And he says we have very few left in our warehouses. And I don't recall ever saying, well then, can I come over, go into your warehouse and check whether you're telling the truth or not?
The president emphasized that there are decisions regarding aviation, regarding the supply of Gripens and Rafales.
We hope that one person in the European Union will not block 90 billion, or the first tranche from them, and Ukrainian soldiers will have weapons. Otherwise, we'll give this person's address to our armed forces, to our guys. Let them call him and talk to him in their own language.
He added that the pipeline has been attacked multiple times by Russia, and Ukraine has already explained to its partners what condition it is in. Right now, Recently, Hungarian Foreign Minister Péter Szijjártó traveled to Moscow to make sure that the oil and gas necessary for Hungary's energy supply would continue to be available during the crisis.
And now more details about the Russian-Ukrainian war, which was started by the Kremlin. The day before, Trump stated that supposedly it is Zelensky who should wake up and sign a peace agreement. Judging by the context, unfortunately, we are not talking about a just peace. So how did President Zelensky respond to this? Let's watch.
A new trilateral meeting regarding Russia's war against Ukraine is on hold due to the outbreak of hostilities in Iran. This was stated by the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky.
At the moment, due to the situation around Iran, there are still no necessary signals for a trilateral meeting. But as soon as the security situation and the overall political context allow for the resumption of that very trilateral diplomatic work, it will be done.
Ukraine is ready for this.
According to Zelensky, Ukraine continues communication with the American side essentially on a daily basis. He added that active negotiations are also underway with representatives of Middle Eastern countries and the Persian Gulf region.
It is clear what their main request to Ukraine is. Everyone who has faced strikes from Iran faces the extreme challenge of shaheds, which are difficult to shoot down when there is no relevant expertise or adequate weaponry.
The Wall Street Journal notes that Russia may be indirectly benefiting from the war with Iran. The conflict is rapidly depleting key weapons that Ukraine needs to defend itself against Russian attacks. Interceptor missiles for Patriot systems. In the first days of hostilities, the US and Gulf countries used hundreds of such missiles to repel Iranian missile and drone strikes. According to estimates by the Ukrainian Air Force, at least 60 PAC-3 missiles per month are needed to counter Russian ballistic missiles. In February, German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius called on NATO allies to supply additional missiles. However, so far only 5 have been confirmed from Germany. Meanwhile, Reuters warns that an escalation between the US and Iran could lead to American weapons being redirected from Ukraine to the Persian Gulf region. According to Mykola Bieliskov, an expert at the National Institute for Strategic Studies, the shortage can be avoided if the US and Israel destroy Iran's missile arsenals and launchers in the near future.
And now about the successes of the armed forces of Ukraine on the battlefield. But first, a very telling story. So look, Fox News aired footage showing FPV interceptors shooting down Shaheds during the war with the Russian Federation. And on Fox News, they presented it as if these were actually American interceptors at work. But in reality, the journalists there showed a Ukrainian drone. So the Americans are implying that it was an American development when in fact it was a Ukrainian drone. That's quite a, let's be honest, telling story. What else do I want to say? At this very moment, there are strikes on military targets in the territory, on the territory of temporarily occupied Crimea, strikes on Sevastopol Bay, and this is actually very, very serious. If we talk now in general about what is happening on the battlefields of the Russian-Ukrainian war, we have prepared a report for you, and right now, here it is for your attention.
Ukrainian defenders struck high-value targets in the Russian rear after the attack on Novorossiysk on March 2nd. The Russian frigate Admiral S.N. can no longer launch Caliber missiles at Ukraine. This was reported by Union, citing sources. During the attack on the port of Novorossiysk, the SBU and the Ukrainian armed forces, together with the defense forces, managed to break through the dense air defense system around Novorossiysk Bay and the port. The strike hit the ship's central superstructure. It is claimed that the fire on the deck of the Admiral Essen, which carries 8 Caliber missiles, lasted about 18 hours, indicating serious internal damage. Also, on March 5th, the Ukrainian Navy destroyed a Russian Ka-27 helicopter over the waters of the Black Sea, according to the military. The Ka-27 is a Soviet ship-based anti-submarine helicopter. Its mission is to detect, track, and destroy submarines at depths of up to 500 meters. The Russians have also encountered problems with their missiles after Laminho strikes on the missile manufacturing plant for the Iskander, Yars, and Bulava systems in Votkinsk, Udmurt Republic. To resume these processes at the plant, according to various estimates, will require from 1.5 months to half a year. In addition, the armed forces of Ukraine have begun to widely use German Mini-Taurus drones at the front. These are HAX-2 strike drones produced by the German company Helsing. This was reported by the Ukrainian online publication Militarny. The pro-Russian Telegram channel UAV Developer wrote that German drones have been detected in several sectors of the front in Ukraine and published photos of a downed drone. They appeared in large numbers simultaneously in different areas. They're striking at repair crews and road network installers in the relative rear. This was stated in the publication about the new UAVs. Previously, there had been no reports of the mass combat use of the HIX-2 in Ukraine. Military notes that thanks to artificial intelligence, this drone has a high degree of autonomy, but several HIX-2s can also join together in a swarm.
And now let's return to the war in the Middle East. Here's the latest news. The head of one of the logistics giants, Stefan Pohl, claims that Dubai is on the brink of starvation. There are only 10 days' worth of fresh products left in the Emirates. Meanwhile, Iran is ready to repel a ground offensive by US forces, according to the head of the local foreign ministry, if you can call him that. And in general, sort of. Iran is not planning any negotiations with Washington. So basically, Iran is kind of ready to fight. They don't care at all. They're not afraid of anything. All of this, of course, sounds powerful, but there's a catch. For example, Iran denies any involvement in the attack on the airport in Azerbaijan. Somehow, their boldness suddenly vanished. Yes, let's go into detail about how Iran wounded 2 people in Azerbaijan. First they did it, and now they're saying, it wasn't me, I have nothing to do with it.
Iran denies any involvement in the attack on the airport in Azerbaijan. Tehran is not targeting neighboring countries. This was stated by Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Garibabadi, commenting on the drone attack carried out by the Iranian armed forces on the Nakhchivan airport. According to him, only those countries that host military bases of Iran's adversaries could become targets for strikes. He also called for a thorough investigation of the incident. A number of Telegram channels have circulated information citing Iranian authorities and media. They claim that Iran has allegedly carried out or is planning strikes on targets in Azerbaijan, linking this to the presence of Israeli and American military personnel. Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev directly accuses Iran of carrying out strikes on the airport in Nakhchivan, Iran. He states that Baku will not tolerate an unprovoked act and aggression against Azerbaijan. He has ordered the country's armed forces to prepare and carry out retaliatory measures.
The Azerbaijani state strongly condemns this vile terrorist act. Those responsible must be immediately brought to justice. Iranian officials must provide an explanation to the Azerbaijani side, offer an apology, and those who committed this terrorist act must be brought to criminal responsibility.
At the same time, Aliyev ruled out Azerbaijan's participation in an operation against Iran. On March 5th, Iranian drones attacked Azerbaijan. One drone crashed into the terminal building of the airport in the city of Nakhchivan and another near a school. Against the backdrop of instability in the Middle East, Azerbaijan has increased its military presence on the border with Iran and has placed army units on heightened combat readiness. Before the incident, Baku tried to maintain a diplomatic tone, stating that all military maneuvers were purely defensive in nature. After the drone attack, Aliyev changed his tone. Azerbaijan closed the airspace in the south of the country near the border with Iran for 12 hours.
Friends, now let's talk about the situation in temporarily occupied Crimea. It seems that a blackout has started there due to the actions of the Russian occupiers. Drones of unknown origin struck a major electrical substation in Crimea. As a result of the drone attack on the Ostrovskaya substation in the Pervomaisky district, a fire broke out. We will closely monitor what is happening in temporarily occupied Crimea. We will talk about this with you in our upcoming episodes. Subscribe to the Union YouTube channel. This was Volodymyr Tymoshenko with you. See you next time.